On today's video, let's talk about Lost Kingdom 141 as my throat is still kind of messed up, but we gotta get this story going. The Zone 6 is opened up, mayhem ensued, kind of. We're gonna have to lay down the story here in this video. There's gonna be a series of videos coming out about the action in Lost Kingdom 141 that's still going on right now. But for now, let's set the stage, explain what we're looking at, see a little bit of action, and go from there. So if you guys like this kind of content, want to see more Lost Kingdom coverage, make sure you're slapping a like on the video, enjoy it, and yeah, let's roll. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. I apologize again, my voice is still kind of messed up. We streamed and it definitely didn't help the voice, but what you're looking at is Zone 6 of Lost Kingdom 141. This is the top zone. It has a bunch of fights happening in there. We're going to look at the right side real quick, at the left side, everything. And this is weird. For some reason, only the top area has 4 kingdoms going at it, while the other areas, Zone 6 areas, are all opened up. Only 2 kingdoms in them, allies, and a bunch of these level 5 passes have not been taken yet. Now, we're going to talk about this in the next video about Lost Kingdom 141 and explain to you what happened here with these passes. But as you can see, a bunch of the level 5 passes were not taken, and essentially yellow and purple took 2 zone 5s of their own, zone 6s of their own. The guys in orange and green went all the way to the right and picked up one of those zones for themselves. And on the top, red and pink are going up against the 2 blues. Pink, jumping the wall, have already reached blue, and the fights already began. There is a flag that was already even burned and it was put away, put down. It's interesting, right? We've seen Lost Kingdoms develop like this. But one of the things you guys don't know, which I was advised about, is that the idea in this Lost Kingdom was to force a 2v4 situation somewhere. It was the ideal thing was to have a 2v2 happen anywhere on the map, where essentially 4 kingdoms that are allied together would choose where this would be. And then a 2v2 would start. And while that would happen, 2 kingdoms from whichever side it would be, would come up and help to create a 4v2 situation. How was this possible? It was through using the mechanics of a level 5 pass. These mechanics we're going to talk about in the next video. Now here's the thing. I understand that you guys are going in the game and already seeing the future. I understand that you guys want to already tell the chat all the answers. Please respect me and the fact that I want to tell you the story in a chronological manner, in an insightful manner, and things are not going to come quick. This is not a news broadcast where I give you all the latest and greatest really quickly. I'm going to tell you the story from A to Z. Any of you who's going to ruin the story through the comments by essentially spoiling things, I'll get rid of those comments and people will get hidden out of this channel. Please don't make me do that. Just enjoy the story. So the way we're seeing things is that the top zone 6 will be the most contested one as of right now. Blues came in and so did pink and red, and they are on 2 sides. What you guys also noticed is that the boys in green and orange on the right side are starting to come up towards blue, and they are the enemies of blue. So in this Lost Kingdom, we have pink, red, green, and orange against the 2 blues, purple, and yellow. Now, purple and yellow picked up the bottom and left areas, which is fantastic, but they were so far away from their allies that it left a huge window of opportunity for the folks in red, pink, orange, and green to strike first. What you're seeing here is essentially the folks in pink from 322 just going ham at the FTK fam. This was, I think this is the FTK fam. If not, no, this is 340, sorry. FTK fam are in blue, and this is baby blue. So early on, pink jumped the wall. You guys saw that. They figured out how to jump the wall very quickly. They placed their fortress in a position where as soon as they took the level 5 pass, they could instantly put a flag really close to blue to baby blue, and then they switched up the alliance that owned the pass and started flagging outwards. While that was going on, these guys coming from the top side from the center, the guys in red who are all the way on the left corner, began to work their way through the zone 6. Again, pink being at the center top of the map had an easier access to that zone 6 to get quicker to blue, and the two blues, while red crossed through. And you'll see pictures of the map and the layouts of the flags as we progress with this video. The number one goal right now was to keep blues busy. Pink was really doing everything they can to take over that zone 5 as quickly as possible. 322 are a nasty kingdom. They are tenacious as all hell, and they pushed hard. Initially, what they did was straight up send the rallies out, knowing that they might, it's only a 1v1 as of right now. They are much closer to the blues than red is. They stood into a possibility where the two blues could converge at them, but they did not fall back. They started instantly rallying flags and keeping 340 busy, 340 being baby blue. By keeping them busy, they essentially ensured that the focus of 340 was always where they wanted it to be, which was on them. On top of that, the folks of 322 took a pretty good beating in the zone 4, like I showed you guys in the previous videos about Lost Kingdom 141. Card up on the top right if you haven't seen that yet. But 322 regressed out of there on purpose. They knew what they wanted to get done, and they essentially made it so that the folks of 340 and the FTK fam would feel more comfortable coming up against these guys, thinking they are potentially either out of resources, they're low on troops. And early on, you can see that 322 were really taking a beating while rallying their own flags. I mean, if you look here, tit for tat, forget about the commander, by the way. That's a bug. The report was created when that was the commander on, but most of the time that wasn't it. For 322, these rallies were more like time killers. There was a little bit of losses by them, a good amount of losses by them actually. You can see right there a few people losing, a couple tens of thousands of troops dead. Those are losses that they were okay with taking, and essentially their idea was, we need to keep these guys busy. Why? While red is making their way in that zone 6 to create a 2v2 situation, orange and green are working their way up. Now, orange and green are working their way up to try to get into the zone 4 that belongs to blues. When they do that, that is essentially a 2v4. For yellow and purple, things were much harder because the level 5 passes were not available for them. Again, explained why tomorrow, and it'll make much more sense then. And on top of that, they'd have to really figure out how to get to a position where they can help their allies. The two blues had to withhold, essentially, a pretty strong kingdom in 322, and on top of that, a hungry kingdom in 341, where Death Squad's crew is. Shout out to Death Squad, a friend of the channel. He sent us a bunch of reports, which you'll see later in the video. But essentially, they had to hold on against a very, very strong kingdom that has not fought yet and was like hungry for fights. And they had to fight a very strong kingdom in 322. And plus, they had to figure out how to hold on to their ground until either reinforcements arrive or until they figure out what the heck to do. The problem was for blues that they just came in a bit too short on where they could go with flags, because pink jumped those walls. They essentially cut the opportunity for blues to branch out towards the center of that zone 6. We're gonna go take a look at flags in a bit, but for now, we are looking at a ton of reports, losses all over the place. And slowly and steadily, these reports are becoming worse and worse for the boys in blue and much better for the folks in pink. And it's just how it goes. The more you're pushing and the quicker you're burning flags and you're getting into the head of your opposition, the better it is. Now, this is a flag by the FTK fam. They are blue, not baby blue. And they were holding their own. They were holding their own really well. This is a very good win for them in the sense of they took less deaths. Not by that much, but they did. And I just don't understand the idea of holding a flag with Constantine and Richard. Holding on to a flag with Constantine and Richard is like saying we want to delay the inevitable. And truthfully, when dead troops are in play, having two healing infantry tanky commanders is such a bad idea. What you're doing here is essentially you're opening up opportunities for Richard to heal slightly wounded troops and convert them into either severely wounded or even dead troops. This kind of combination is amazingly good when you're doing something like Ark of Osiris, where you're not really caring for the losses you take, but you do care for the amount of time the rally runs. You essentially want to delay the victory of the rally. I don't understand why the FTK fam were holding like this. It cost them quite a lot, but it was something that was interesting to see. Personally, I would never do that in a situation where severely wounded or deads are in play. If it's only severely wounded like Ark of Osiris, where you either spend speed ups or not at all and they insta heal, that's cool. But on an open field fight where the flag is being held, for the rallying team, it's like, well, keep doing damage to you, that's okay. It does have a flip side, right? There is another side to the coin, which is obviously slightly wounded get back into the action and fight more. But truthfully, nowadays with the cooldown of flag burning, you can very easily lose a rally, essentially let the flag burn, put it out, reinforce it well enough so that you can hold on to it to potentially even get to a point where you can turn off the fire very, very quickly again if you lose a rally again. So I don't know whether converting slightly wounded into severelies and deads is a good idea for a flag. I feel like letting it burn and instantly putting it away and reinforcing it again and kind of holding on for another rally or two is probably a better solution than having your slightly wounded become dead. Now, here's the thing. The folks in blue were really starting to feel the pain here. 322 showed up really quickly, and it was just at the worst possible time for 340. 340 this was when 340 had the lowest activity possible, primarily because of time zones, and the way the zone 6 opened up really worked in the favor of red and pink because the blues were not only constrained by pink, but also had no presence in game to try to push back. What the blues did really well is that they recognized the situation and they started building, not only flagging towards the center, but they started fortressing up the level 6 passes. Usually, I am very much against those plays because those fortresses could be potentially used for something else. And usually what ends up happening is if someone like pink takes over the whole zone, then those forts next to the level 6 pass don't last long enough for them to have any meaning. But the folks in blue, recognizing the situation, essentially created two hubs of attack. They had the branches coming out of the passes. You'll see that in a bit. We're going to go take a look at the map in a second. They had the branches coming out of the passes and into the zone 6. And then they had a separate branch next to the level 6 pass. And they started flagging around that and building towards fighting in that area from that area forward. And that's what made that strategy so good, is that they didn't just stick around the pass to try to hold on to the pass. They created another avenue of attack from the pass on, which was then very useful, and you'll see why as we progress. You can see right here the branches coming out of the pass, the wall hops and all that. That's one territory, and we're gonna go look at the map right here again. We'll switch around the areas where the fight was just to show you a little bit of action and where things happen on the map. But as you can see, pink had so much presence that these blue flags were burning and they constrained them so badly. But again, look at the positioning right here of how this worked out. You have a hub of attack in the center. You have two fortresses down below holding onto the pass and trying to bridge with flags. And you have flags coming out of the pass. These are three crucial things that essentially allowed the folks in blue to delay as much as they could. They put a wall in front of red, and that wall held really, really, really well. Flags burned, rallies came out, Death Squad came out swinging, doing massive damage all over the place. But again, that entertained essentially the red team. As things progressed though, as you saw, pink came out really, really well in the center and kind of cut that zone 5 and it's the 6, sorry. And what they did is they started working their way to just take over the whole top area of the zone 6. You're gonna see that in the map in a moment. And so by doing that, they kind of took away the level 5 pass access from blues. They ended up causing really a lot of trouble later on the top area. But blue, recognizing that they are in a pickle with pink, created the center hub to entertain red, and then created the bottom area next to the level 6 pass. And that's essentially where they started working their way to potentially mount an offensive. Now, when you drop passes, when you drop forts like they did, those forts are going to take time to burn. And if you're able to, every couple of hours, get a few people together to hold on to the fort for an hour or so, let it heal for an hour or so, you're essentially delaying those forts going away for a couple of hours extra. And blue essentially, and baby blue, FTK, the FTK fam were super smart about this. They let sometimes the forts burn, and then sometimes they just put them out and held for a few hours, let those forts heal up, and then they let them burn again. You can see FTKC right there really locking down red, not letting them do anything. And you can see pink right there working that top area and starting to push to get rid of these flags away from baby blue and then towards blue and so forth and so on. Now, you can see that B341, the bottom green area, red flags, kind of like managed to squeeze through. But in my opinion, 341 made a mistake in where they went upwards rather than downwards. If they had gone downwards, it would have been much more problematic for blues to hold on. But they essentially went upwards to try to help to double rally against the fort. This fort right here. And that fort is pretty much the linchpin of FTK fam. It held 341 so long, and it kept them so busy for so long that it just gave the opportunity for the allies of the blue boys to figure out what the hell they're doing. And it also gave a little bit of breathing room because the way the time zones kind of worked out, blues were much more active when pinks and reds were less active. And so as long as the FTK fam and the folks from 340 managed to live through the night, quote unquote, the next morning they gained up some ground and essentially ensured that they have some presence. Pink were ruthless. When they were on, they took ground by the minute. They did not waste a moment. Flags coming in, they cut in flags, they burned everything they could, and they really did an awesome job taking over the top area of that zone 6. But the FTK fam with 340 as well, I think it was 340S, I'm not entirely sure, had those center fortresses in that center area, and they consistently ensured that the flags kept getting put out and secured, and they just kept that chunk. You can see in the center another fortress by 340 dropping. In the meantime, look at this. Green and orange cut through and made it to that zone 4, as I told you, and now baby blue are in trouble, and so are blue, because now it's not a 2v2 anymore in that zone 6. It's a 2v2 in the zone 6 and then another 2 into their zone 5, and now this is a 4v2, while purple and yellow just couldn't get anything done. You'll know better why in tomorrow's video. Hopefully by then my throat will feel a little bit better and I'll be able to be more enthusiastic and excited. I'll definitely be a lot more for the videos coming on next week, which have some amazing content. You guys don't want to miss that. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you turn on the bell to get a notification when I upload a new video. Here's the drill. Right now, blues are under a lot of pressure, but they did everything they needed to do correctly. They created a distraction for pink to go for the top. They are locking in red in that center, and they have those two fortresses down below building upwards flags to come in and help. And essentially, they're just buying time. They're ensuring that they keep red and pink continually busy while their allies figure out what the hell's going on and how can we get into this action. The biggest problem I saw, and I feel like this was a potential small mistake by red, is that they flagged a bunch of different alliances, as you can see, flagged straight towards blue to allow themselves to double and triple rally if they needed to. But once those flags hit that wall, they really didn't move that much at all. Even if you go look at the map today, you'll see that those forts that were there might be gone by now, but the fort that dropped right behind them is still there. And so all of these flags essentially hit a wall and never managed to progress, because the FTK fam were so good and smart to essentially give 341 enough so 341 continues to bite, but not lose that much yet. These are some reports that our friend our friend Death Squad sent us. Apologize for that. Deathstroke is one of our mods in the channel, but Death Squad right here, he did massive work. He led tons of rallies and did so much damage. I think that guy burned this FTKC fortress a million times. It was unreal. He was really giving them hell, and you can see the results in the rallies. Like, as the rallies progressed, he was getting better and better, getting more and more damage out of it. One of the things you got to remember about Lost Kingdom, it's about endurance. And when you can do things like this to your opposition, continually make them lose more than you lose, and on top of that, continually put that pressure, most people crack. This Lost Kingdom is by far the most interesting one I've seen yet. Because believe it or not, everything happened for a reason, including the fact that the FTK fam placed their fortress right where it is, so it's right next to the river, which means that the flags next to it would have to go through that choke point you're seeing right there, and that would give them a little bit of a way to delay rallies, to delay things. These flags were put in a straight line right next to the river for a reason. Every single one of the 8 kingdoms in this Lost Kingdom are insanely savvy. The plans of the 2 4v4s are really dope. But for now, I don't want to give away all the game yet. I just want to get you guys to the point in time where we are right now, which is blues are in big trouble. Pink, purple and yellow have no clue what the hell they're gonna do right now. Orange and green breached into the zone 5 that belongs to the blues, and now it's a 4v2. The 2 blues have to figure out how to hold on against red and pink in zone 6, while not lose all their zone 5 to orange and yellow, and orange and green. And even worse, if orange and green make their way into the zone 6, it's going to be a painful one. I can tell you this because as of right now, it's been long enough that you can know this. This was all intentional. This was all intentional. The plan was to always have a 2v2 happen somewhere, and to figure out how to turn the 2v2 into a 4v2 before the other side can figure out how to even up the balance. And when the map layout came out and they realized that really the blue guys are isolated up on the top, that red and pink can make it to that one zone 6 very quickly, and red, who are one of the strongest kingdoms in this Lost Kingdom, are essentially locking down to ensure that their zone 5 is secured from the hands of yellow and purple. And on top of that, orange and green make sure that the bottom area cannot breach the right area, because for that you got to go through zone 5 into zone 6. So essentially what these kingdoms realized is that we have to concentrate on the top. We have to get orange and green to go straight up as quickly as they can and get into that zone 5. And while that happens, we're going to use a very, very cool mechanic out of the zone, out of a level 5 pass to make all this happen. Now, the mechanic itself is really cool. The implementation of the plan might have been a little bit flawed. The next video is going to be all about that. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. I'm Gekko, I'm out of here. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. We're going to leave it here where essentially blues are now in trouble in a 4v2 situation. Can yellow and purple make their way in? What is taking them so long? All these questions will be answered in the next video. We have 3 more videos on top of this already planned out, and the story, trust me when I tell you, just gets better and better. We're going to talk a lot of strategy. We're going to talk a lot of mistakes, a lot of everything, and show you guys some of the most amazing gameplay I've seen in a Lost Kingdom in a long, long time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I apologize for my voice again. Trying to troop it out for you guys because the show must go on, and this is something I love doing, and I want you guys to enjoy the work that these guys put into their Lost Kingdom. I'll see you sooner rather than later. Enjoy the rest of your week and take care. Peace.